The early onset of heat waves across the nation has pushed electricity demand to midsummer levels, with power usage surging to a record 95.7 gigawatts as of Tuesday, the highest ever recorded for the month of July.
예년보다 빨리 찾아온 폭염에 지난 화요일 최대 전력 수요가 95.7 기가와트로 역대 7월 최고치를 경신하는 등 국내 전기 수요가 한여름 성수기 수준을 나타냈습니다. Okay, so I feel like, it's getting hotter faster, it's more intense, and as we can see here, it's hotter, it's more hot than it was the same time last year.
Yeah, it's getting quite hot and quite early, I think is the key. And the number 95.7 gigawatts came up in the article. And they're saying that demand exceeding 90 gigawatts is usually observed in late July or early August. But the fact that this is already coming up in early to mid-July, it really shows the numbers backing that statement. The previous July record was 93.4 gigawatts, which was set on Monday, surpassing the previous record of 92.99. This was back in 2022.
Okay.
So, it seems to not just be getting hotter, but it seems to be accelerating as of late, the last 2 or 3 years.
Speed is what we're really looking at here. Yeah, exactly. And what's the onset of something?
The onset of something is sort of like the beginning of something, as something begins to happen.
Okay. 무언가가 시작될 때, the onset of something. So the onset of heat waves, it says the early onset, means that the heat waves have happened earlier than usual?
Yeah, they've been starting earlier. They've been beginning earlier, or this has been happening a little bit earlier than normal or earlier than expected.
Yeah. Don't we use onset for diseases or
outbreaks
of well?
Diseases, outbreaks. Usually something like a pattern of some sort. We'll use the word onset as it starts.
Exactly. 그래요. 어떤 질병이나 아니면은 이제 코로나 바이러스 이런 얘기를 할 때도 그게 이제 시작이 될 때 onset라는 표현을 쓸 수 있습니다. The onset of COVID back in 2019, I think initially it was a big scare in just certain parts of Asia, and then all of a sudden it was all around the world, as we know. Okay, what about midsummer levels?
So midsummer, we're thinking about probably mid to late July, perhaps early August. I mean, the actual start of summer is June 20th, right? For the summer solstice, longest day of the year. So that would be like the beginning of summer. But when we're talking, it's not as hot maybe in the first day of summer in June 20th. But as we get to early August, when the actual middle of summer comes in, then that's the period that we're talking about. So we're talking about midsummer levels in terms of these readings, and that's the time period that we're looking at.
Exactly. What's that work by Shakespeare with the word midsummer in it?
Midsummer's Night's Dream,
Yeah,
I
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
So midsummer, it's like the middle of summer. And then I guess in that particular play, we're talking about a dream, and it involves, sort of elves and animals and things like that.
Yeah.
Don't remember it that clearly, but yeah.
And I think when we're talking about midsummer, the reason that you're going to mention it is probably to do with heat or the weather. Because, like I said, I think the weather in midsummer, when we're talking July, August, is a little bit different than the longest day of the year in terms of the summer solstice. It's not as hot typically in June as it is in July, August. So when we mention midsummer, then we are usually referring to a hotter period. It could be a sunnier period or less, in Korea. I guess in Asia, it'd be like maybe the rainy period. But, in a lot of North American cities, it's typically a dry period.
midsummer가 나라마다 기후도 다 다르겠죠. 그 얘기를 지금 해주셨는데 이제 한여름 midsummer. 그래서 셰익스피어의 한여름밤의 꿈, 영어로는 Midsummer Night's Dream. 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. The early onset of heat waves across the nation has pushed electricity demand to midsummer levels, with power usage surging to a record 95.7 gigawatts as of Tuesday, the highest ever recorded for the month of July. Here's our next headline.